This meeting will come to order. This special meeting was called by Madison City Council for the purpose to discuss and possibly pass ordinance number 40, 2018. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Chauvin.
Here.
Kramer.
Present.
Cunningham. President. Gregg.
Here.
Irwin.
Here.
Lewis.
Present.
Littman.
Here.
Manson.
Yes.
And Sterrett.
Here.
Roll call of 9 present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're at number 2 on the agenda, where anyone from the audience may come forward to speak on any item that doesn't appear on tonight's agenda. If you wish to do so, please state your name, address, and topic you wish to discuss. I would appreciate if you could keep your comments to 3 minutes, and when you're finished speaking, sign your name and address on the paper on the table in front of you. Here's no paper. Diane's getting it. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Seeing none. Councilman Manson?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I want to apologize to everybody. We had a little bit of confusion last week. I wasn't feeling well. I let a couple things slide, but I believe we corrected everything. In the past, we never had number 2 on there as far as remarks on these special meetings, so we'll go on for that. First thing I want to do is I want to make a motion that we go to executive session. We had some discussion here. I want to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss pending litigation, specifically Stark County Court of Common Pleas, case number 2018 CB 00096, pursuant to revised code 121.22 G3. And I want to invite all council clerk, council president, the administration, David, Barb, law director, and our attorneys. Is there anybody that I overlooked that we should have in? I'd like to make that motion.
Seconded by Councilman Sterrett. Roll call.
Kramer.
Yes.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Gregg.
Yes.
Irwin.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Littman.
Yes.
Manson.
Yes.
Sterrett.
Here.
And Chauvin.
Yes.
9 yes to exit into executive session.
Okay, so there was a small technical glitch when they came out of executive session, but in a nutshell, the safety service director discussed 2 employees of the hospital that the city is now employing to operate the boilers and to perform maintenance around the hospital while it's vacant. But the rest of the footage is as follows, like this.
Okay. Finance.
Yes, the first piece of legislation request we have, I will call for Joel Smith. Please prepare an ordinance to appropriate from the unappropriated balance of the general fund the amount of $621,649 to be placed in the following accounts. And we have a list of accounts here that are all related to the cost of the hospital if we were to decide to go ahead and move forward with the deal as proposed. Mr. Smith, would you like to provide a summary?
Yes, sir. First of all, I'll apologize to council. I initially had given you legislation that listed $565,000. Realized late Friday that I had miscalculated and redid it today, and that's why you have an updated version. The 3-month appropriation sheet that was sent to you on Friday, for the most part, is accurate. If you go down this list, the hospital salary, the hospitalization, PERS, Medicare, those would be the costs associated with the 2 full-time employees that we put on, that we will put on if this hospital deal goes through. The hospitalization is at the peak. That would be if both employees chose a PPO at a family rate. I have no idea what they'll choose, but I put enough money in there to cover the most expensive piece of that. The salary, the PERS, the Medicare are actual numbers for 3 months. The hospital property insurance, this is based off of a quote that we have, a preliminary quote. The total properties listed as their tax value of a little over 25 million. It comes in at about 100,000 a year for insurance, somewhere realistically about 95,000 I think is what the quote is, but it won't be finalized until after this deal is done when we can get all the information to them. So the 25,000 will be for the first quarter. The hospital utilities at 180,000. This is really an unknown. This is a guesstimate based on what the hospital was generating as a fully functional hospital. We don't know what it's going to be once we have it closed down. We're only operating on one boiler currently. I estimated 50,000 a month for the hospital and 10,000 for the other buildings that we're taking on. This is another reason why I only wanted to do this for 3 months, because some of these costs are truly unknown. I think it's a good guess based on what I've heard from the maintenance staff, but it is just that. The hospital, with what I sent out today, does everyone have that? That was sent in their email today. The 370,510 under hospital services and contracts. We broke that down. You'll see on that monthly list, the equipment leases that we're taking on are 40,807 per month. The property leases are 41,575. Now, those are the 2 properties that we're taking on the leases. One of those ends in August, so that's 8,400 of this. The other one is a little over 33. That's the property up on Dressler. Certainly, you know, it's empty at this moment. We have one physician that has told us that he wants to move in there as soon as he can. And then the rest of the space will utilize a realty company to try and sublease and get rid of as much of that as we can. The yard maintenance, I've contacted a yard yard maintenance company that we're utilizing. If you'll remember, we're subcontracting some of the mowing in the city. That same company, Lawn Works out of Canton, gave me estimates on all the properties that we're taking on. And this is based on mowing once a week. Currently, I would think that, you know, we wouldn't have to do that once a week on especially the properties that are empty, but I went high there. So based on once a week, it's going to be about $300 a week to mow everything and keep that good. The security quote is $8,900, $8,904. That's to have a security company with a body there 24/7 at the hospital building. They will be doing rotations around the building to make sure that we don't have a problem there. They'll have access inside and out. That is their quote for one person, 24/7. ChemTreat is that's a chemical company for the boilers. Been in contact with them. Their current contract's $1,400 a month. There is a fire alarm system, so there's a $50 maintenance fee. I have cleaning contracts. The 2 cleaning contracts you see there, that's the current contract Quorum is paying for cleaning of 830 Amherst, which there's about 4 doctors groups in there. That's the professional building on the hospital site. And then the other contract would be with Marion, 323 Marion. They currently have that contract. That's the current contract. That's the cost of those 2. My intent is to probably, you know, look and see if I can get it better, but that's what the current contract is now. And then I threw $3,000 a month miscellaneous just for unexpected. I'm certain there'll probably be something that potentially will come up that I haven't heard about or calculated. So I threw in that $3,000 a month miscellaneous. So the total is $101,836 per month, and that's with the service. That's basically to keep this viable currently. The rest of the money under the 370 would include that cost of the title insurance, which is a little over $64,000. So that's where I came up with the $370,000. Under the hospital supplies, materials, and postage, I put in $12,000 there for the first 3 months. Again, that's a guess, that's an estimate. Not sure if I'll spend any of it. I may spend all of it, I'm not sure. We may have breakdowns. The 2 people in there working may have to buy supplies. I just don't know what to expect, and that's again why we're coming to you with a 3-month estimate. We'll certainly reevaluate if it goes beyond that term, and I'll be in front of you probably in 2 months' time, and we'll reevaluate.
Mr. Smith, can you speak first off? I know one of the things that's going to come up in our next discussion will be that title insurance for $64,000. But this number, the $621,649, a 3-month appropriation, is there any validity that this number is probably a higher number than what we would see moving forward past the first 3 months?
It would be a higher number. Some of it would be higher depending on how long this goes. You know, our hope and goal is obviously to have this a very short time. And we have faith that that is the case, will be the case. Ultimately, and all the entities that we've spoke to have said, if we're going to do this, we have to do it quickly.
I guess let me rephrase.
Go ahead.
So, for example, we have 621 now.
Correct.
But the title insurance money is a one-time cost, right?
Correct. That's a one-time cost.
So that automatically right there will drop this 621 back down into that 500-some thousand.
That is correct.
There are some other costs that may also get dropped down.
Correct. Under the hospital services and contracts, one of the contracts under the equipment is $18,000 a month. That ends in August. One of the leases is $8,400 a month. That ends in August. So if this goes beyond that time frame, certainly those would drop off. So that's $27,000 there.
And I guess the reason I wanted to point that out is if people look at the what-if scenarios out there, this number is probably not the best number to utilize because it is going to be slightly on the higher side due to initial costs of taking over that will phase away later.
And obviously, the lease that's out there on Dressler, we would be looking to sublease that. We have talked to realty companies about getting that on the market as soon as we gain possession, or we take possession. So if we sublease, that would relieve us from those leases. And these costs are based on keeping the hospital viable for someone else to move in, you know. So we're at the peak of the cost initially.
Okay, and before I turn it over to other questions, do you want to go ahead and speak to the title insurance, as Ray brought that up? And we're handling both of these at the same time.
Andrea, I don't know. The title insurance is just that, no different from when you buy a home. You purchase title insurance to ensure that the titles are all clear. We've been given assurances from Quorum that they would be, but to make sure we don't have any issues down the road. The title insurance is, I think that quote was given to us by Mr. Dingwell for that company that they work with.
Ms. Living.
The title insurance is part of the settlement agreement. Clear title is shown as part of the settlement agreement itself. Is it redundant to have that title insurance as well, especially at the cost of $64,000? Is it not part of the settlement agreement itself that would require that clear title to be the case from the seller's perspective versus the buyer's?
I think I would rather prefer that our attorney answer that question. One thing that the mayor reminded me too, and I want to back up just a hair before I bring him up. On the revenues, we're not listing any of the revenue we will be getting in. Currently, there's about $15,000 in rents that will be coming in each month, but that, as you know, that money comes into the city, but it's not automatically appropriated. So I'm not calculating any rents that will be coming in to us. So this number would be reduced, and if we can sublease that building, and again, we have one doctor that we will be working with to get him in that building very quickly, that money comes back to the city, so it would reduce the amount we're truly paying.
Thank you. With regard to the title insurance, the settlement agreement calls for essentially the donation of the property to the city. The settlement agreement also calls for all monetary liens, any type of mechanics lien, a mortgage, or any other type of monetary lien against any of the properties be cleared off at the time of closing the transaction. And we actually have done the search, and there's one lien that's out there that we have secured the approval to go ahead with clearing that lien, assuming the transaction goes forward. The title insurance covers not just monetary liens issues, but also other types of title issues that may come about. So if somebody down the road comes forward and asserts some kind of a claim against the title, apart from an issue of liens, that's where the title insurance kicks in and resolves that type of claim to title that comes from out of left field that nobody has seen. So that's kind of an explanation as to what title insurance does.
Will it cover all of the properties, including the ancillary properties?
Every single one.
Mr. Franklin? Just a question about the property on Dressler. Is that the one that's just south of Munson that has the large infinity sign on the front of it?
It's the Ohio Health Care Building. I think it has no.
It's north of
Yeah.
Munson. It's
Yeah.
north of Munson.
What was south of Munson?
It's north of Munson.
That is, well,
So Dressler.
yeah, it's right about on the corner.
I think the address is 4455.
Any other questions?
But it's been around.
I have a few questions for Mr. Smith. Regarding the itemized monthly expenses, so when we spoke about the cleaning contract, you were going to possibly negotiate, something else. When does that term expire for that contract?
Well, the contract was with Quorum, so we don't have a contract with them. So their contract would cease at the end of Quorum's, they don't own the property. The company reached out to me initially, and then I asked him to send me copies of their contract. So we would have to work out a contract with them. I listed what their current number is, but some of the doctors have changed at 8:30. At 8:30 Amherst, we discussed that a couple entities have left from there. So I would want to renegotiate what he has with Quorum, and he's open to that. Again, this is one company. I would presume, and my intent is to probably reach out to a couple more to see if I could get quotes before I sign a contract with anyone.
Would it be in our best interest, are we looking at like maybe a monthly, month-by-month contract, or are you willing to, are you 6 month or a year contract? I guess that's kind of
With
my
any
concern.
contract, even with the security company, I
Right,
told
that
them
was my second question.
I want a 30-day out.
Okay,
So they'll all include a 30-day out.
okay, that's what I needed to know. Thank you.
All right, folks, these will be on the agenda for Monday. My next piece I have here is please place $4,923 from the unappropriated balance of the general fund into supplies and materials account for the fire department. This is the amount of revenue generated from the sales of the fire department equipment through gov deals, etc. And we use to furnish station number 3 and or the 2 fire engines that will arrive approximately August 1st. And then we have attached there showing the dollars and where they came from and on what dates. Are there any questions? Thank you. Please appropriate the unappropriated balance of the diversity scholarship from 3/31/12 is $2,811.53 to the following account: $1,900 diversity scholarships, and then $911.53 to servicing contracts. Any questions on this? This is donated dollars that are utilized in our safety force. And then we have a couple of transfers. We have one CDBG workers' compensation They take $23 out of that and put it into collection fees, and this will realign the budget to pay county collection fees. Questions? And then one from the health department to reduce their health servicing contract by $900, put it in health supplies. For payments through the employer is the only information they have. That is all I have for finance.
Okay. Anybody have anything else that they'd like to discuss? Okay. Just keep in mind, Monday, the hospital issue will be coming up for third reading. I would assume we will act on it, but it's always possible it could be tabled or whatever, and moved out to another date, but I haven't heard anything.